All right, hey traders, TG Watkins here. It is December 13th. I hope everybody's doing well out there. Today is FOMC day, so we should probably get in some pretty crazy moves later in the day. Usually the mornings are kind of calm, but as far as some individual names, we are seeing some movement. So I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the things that we're seeing out there, and then just keep in mind that we have FOMC today, so the market tends to just freeze and stop moving leading up to that, and then it's kind of like anything goes. So yeah, let's dive in, show you a couple things. Let's see how the volume order flow is going. We've been noticing that underneath the surface, we've been getting fewer advancers beating the decliners. So we had a couple of strong days, but you can just see that there are fewer and fewer advancers beating decliners. That's been in a downtrend. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a bounce today. We'll have to kind of see what that looks like. And then you can see here that the order flow has also been kind of neutral. So not too much going on in through here. And as I said, just I think kind of leading up to FOMC day, and everyone's kind of just saying, hey, let's wait and see what they say and decide what the market's going to do about that and how that's going to handle things. So let's then jump into a couple other things. Well, let's look at the SPY real quick. And it has been on an absolute tear. We've been looking for price to at some point come down and test something like the daily 21, which is pretty common. But I think what we're seeing is a fresh round of short squeezes, because you can see right here, that was the previous high. So of course, that's going to act as a natural barrier. You could see that price really just went right to it a couple times. And then where did this next move start? It started when price was able to break past. So I'm sure everybody either had their stops set there, or breakout buyers are buying it, and then anybody who's trying to short the market up there, all that kind of stuff. And you can see right there where price was able to bounce off the 15-minute 50, and then it just went. So again, I feel like this market's been pretty frothy for a while. I mean, we're now almost halfway through December, and I don't know, this just kind of feels like icing on the cake, certainly. So just be careful out there. We are seeing that fewer and fewer stocks are participating on this. One way to look at that is here with the number of stocks over their 20-day SMA. And you can see it's just kind of backed off a bit. Like it's not terrible, but you are noticing that there is a kind of a negative divergence here compared to price. So fewer stocks are over their 20-day SMA, which is a fairly low bar to stay above and to cross over. And what we're noticing is that they're just starting to back off a little bit. Plus you just look at these indicators and the number of stocks over their 50-day, and you can see that this is the area that they just don't really they don't get past. It's kind of like everything is already up there, and how much further can it really go? That being said, there are still moves. Like you can see, the Nasdaq is up quite a bit. Maybe we're actually getting a doji today. This morning I saw that it had jumped up. So yeah, just kind of need to be careful. And through here we had a nice little dip, and then this has just been all practically vertical. Like right there, practically vertical as far as that goes, and it just feels a little odd. And then just remember, we have the FOMC today, and a lot of times the market traders can use that as an excuse. So a couple names that we've been doing well with, Team. Nice pop on that one. Might actually just take this today. Quick little move, hit that third ATR right there, and then came right into previous highs. So it could be a decent opportunity to just kind of grab something and call it good in through there. The other kind of news that I heard, something about Tesla and a recall. And so you can see we were looking at this and had my stop right there, basically right there. And the reason for it is because there was a level right in through here, and you can see that. And what did yesterday and today do? Well, broke that level. And so that's what we were looking at. It was a bit of a tease in through here, as price was holding the daily 21, trying to get over the daily 50, all that kind of stuff. And then it looked like right here, price was going sideways and kind of just waiting for the moving averages to turn up like that. But, it seems like, number one, news, but also number two, that they might have kind of missed their opportunity, because while the market was moving up, these were just going sideways. So I wouldn't leave Tesla for dead. I do think that it's a pretty good stock, and I do think that it's not going anywhere as far as down, but it's really kind of a question of when is it going to be moving to the upside, and those are the things that we need to be kind of being patient for, waiting and watching. Um, Let me know if you guys have any kind of questions or any tickers that you're going to be looking out there. As I said, we have FOMC today, so things could be a little bit weird, but we're going to be going through a couple things. I'm still been watching GDX and the gold miners. Let me get this, because what I've been looking for is I thought that this was kind of an overbought move, and I figured we get a pullback. I didn't think it was going to be quite this far down, but the fact that it's pulled back into an uptrending daily 50 with the Moxie indicator above zero has me really looking at this. So there's no trigger yet. It is still in a downtrend here on the 15-minute time frame, and we're still not seeing anything conclusive quite yet on the 15-minute Moxie. But I'm keeping an eye on it, mostly because of where this is coming into on the daily chart. And if we then kind of come over here and look at the weekly chart, we do have a fresh buy signal here, and we do have the 8 trying to cross over the 21, and we've got a squeeze. So unless that squeeze fires down and this thing breaks apart, I would be looking to the upside. We just kind of have to figure out how deep is that pullback going to be, and when is it going to finally turn around. One of the other stocks that I'm looking at is GFI, and as far as gold miners, and same thing. You look at this monthly weekly chart, it's not too bad. You're right here at the uptrending monthly 10, and then we basically have an inverse head and shoulders right here with price kind of pulling back into some support. So, and then the other thing, now that I'm looking at this, check this out. Let's see if we can do kind of a line in through here. Let's see if that kind of mostly works out. You could do that. Maybe let's bring this back in just a little bit, maybe something like that, or even there. It just kind of depends on where you want to tie it into. But based on what I'm seeing there, we have now broken past resistance. So resistance here, and now we're coming back down to test support. And if it holds, then price could move up like that. So yeah, I'd be looking at that and saying I would certainly be keeping an eye on gold miners and GFI and any of the other ones that you want. Interestingly enough, I'm looking at GFI, and it seems to me that it has pulled back less than GDX. So this might actually be have relative strength, and that might be a good one to kind of keep an eye on. Yeah, Pablo, let's take a look at a few of yours. Let's look at Roku. This goes along with what I've been seeing with the market and kind of expecting. You know, November was an extremely strong month, and a lot of them sparked it with earnings. Okay, so we have been carrying these kind of moves for quite some time, and really, honestly, it's just getting a little bit overdone. Things are getting frothy. The internals are just pegged to the upside. It's kind of hard for stocks to really get going any further because they've just gone so crazily. And then we look at this, and you can see here it's just been popping out. And what's the next step? The next step is for price to at least get down to the 21. Now, I can't say if the 21 is going to hold here, but the fact that this is pulling back the first area, the first target, would be at least to the daily 21. And you can see, check out the negative divergence. So as price kept going higher, the Moxie indicator put in a lower high, meaning that as it went higher, it kept consuming that energy, that gas, that energy in the tank, that momentum. It was coming out as price was going higher. And then you can see right there is your Moxie price trigger. So that was telling you that energy and momentum were now exhausted and now negative, and you could see how price was following the underside of the hourly 50. And you could even see, look here, look at the 15-minute Moxie indicators. You see how they were staying below zero? They were just living below zero. So these are the things that were kind of telling us, like, hey, there's no positive strength here. 15-minute Moxie indicators are negative. The Moxie indicator not only had divergence, but over the last week or so, the indicator kept going down and down, just red, red, red every single day, and then finally crossed into the negative territory. So this should be expected. This is what we've been looking for. And yes, there were stocks that still kept moving up, but for the most part, be prepared that we were going to start seeing some of these things come down. Let's see, TTD. I've had people asking me this one a while ago. They are, I think somebody got stuck in earnings. This is why I don't like to trade earnings, because you can have a stock that looks okay and then suddenly it changes. So I just said I haven't really been enjoying the stock. I haven't really been looking at it. There hasn't really been anything going on with it. Yeah, there's some sideways action, but you know, if you're looking at this to go long somewhere in through here, right as the market seems to be kind of reaching a top point, I'd be careful about this, thinking that right now is probably not the time that this thing is going to suddenly start showing some strength. And it is still underneath a downtrending daily 50. Let's look at the weekly chart. Yes, it's come into some support, but we don't know if that's going to work. If it is eventually going to work, then expect price to stay over the weekly 50. If it's not going to work, then watch out and see if price breaks below the weekly 50. But I'm just not really impressed by TTD. That's kind of been my thing. And then Palantir has been a mix. It looked really good. It held very nicely while the market was pulling back. You could see this, just a total flat line, very, very strong relative strength while the market was doing its whole pullback over the summer. And then had a move, was trying to break out, but then the news came out that Uber got selected to be added to the S&P instead of Palantir, and I think that's why it got sold off. Now, I also wouldn't count this one for dead yet. It might still pull back a little bit, but I think overall it is a strong stock. I think it's just having to handle and digest that news. But overall, I think it's going to be a strong stock. Now we just have to kind of wait for the next opportunity for it to come back. All right, so let's see, ZYXI. Does it look good on the weekly and the daily? Well, it has potential. It is still coming from below, which is a little bit challenging. It's definitely not in necessarily an uptrend, but what we're looking for is for price to actually, be able to break up over these things. So that's kind of where you're at. You're in a very neutral spot here, and it's either going to do what it did back here, where it can get past the weekly 50. But notice you might be dealing with a lot of headwind, because you could see before that when they have to get past these moving averages, what happens is it comes up, has to digest it, and then it can move. And there's a lot of challenges in between there. And it could be kind of the same thing here. As it comes up, it might have to digest this and then get through. So just kind of be prepared for that. And then we come over to here, okay, I see what you're seeing. Nice 50, 250 maneuver right there. So sure, if this is going to work, needs to just at this point hold the daily 50, and it needs to follow it and get up and over. So yeah, keep an eye on it. And most likely it's going to eventually engage with the hourly 50, and that's what I'd be looking for, to see if that can actually continue. But in the meantime, just keep in mind that this market is a little overbought, and so things that look like they're ready to go might kind of just stay in a holding pattern and need a little bit more time. D-Dog, same thing with Roku and basically all of these things. They're fine, they look nice, but they're topping out. I mean, look at this. You had red in the Moxie indicator the entire time, and you want to see about a timing thing? Look at that. There's your Moxie indicator firing right there at the top, telling you shouldn't be long on something like this. So given that the market's looking a little bit toppy, I'm not sure that this thing is just going to keep going up like this. It's either going to come down to keep pulling back, or it's just going to chop a little bit more. But it is not ready to go up yet. I don't think it's going to buck the trend with the rest of everything. And so I would be careful with this. And I think you just need to be patient, wait for the next opportunity that should correlate with the market as well. All right, let's take a look at C, and then I'll move on from here. I have been seeing the financials, so XLF has been doing decently well, and yeah, something like this is making some progress. But again, I think that these things are starting to show that they're getting a little bit overbought. For me, we're starting to see it pull away from the moving averages, even on the weekly time frame. And you could say it's starting to come into some resistance right in through here. And sure, it looks fine overall, but I just don't think that I would want to initiate along here. And if I were long, I would be tightening up my stops. I mean, look, this thing has had a vertical move for a month. Same thing with the whole rest of the market. It's just too much. I mean, you could see even before, when it had a vertical move, at some point, these things are going to take a break. They're going to chill out. They're going to pull back. They're going to flag. They're going to do something like that. But this is not really a place that I would want to be going long, to initiate a long like that. So just be prepared that these things could very much start to just back off a little bit, and then we'll have to see what happens next. I can also see, yes, it's very extended here on the daily chart, and you can see we're starting to see some negative divergence on that daily chart. All right, Pablo, let's see. SE. It's one of the another ones that I like to. Yeah. See, there's just not much going on here. Also, keep in mind if the market is going to start pulling back soon, this thing is already at its low. It had its opportunity to go higher, and so I would be concerned that if the market has a downdraft, this thing's already down, it could go further. So I don't see anything that's really telling me to be super bullish on this thing. If it's going to start working on the hourly chart, well, it's got to get back over the hourly 50, and then it got to get over the hourly 200. But yeah, I mean, I see it, and I see this too. It's a maybe. I see if this double bottom holds, and if it starts to trend up, great. But if the market starts to back off and get a little bit weak as it needs to pull back, something like this might be stifled. Just keep in mind market context, and what you're trying to do with SE is basically go after something that is not even going up. I mean, it is the lowest of the low. It's at the lowest point that it's ever been. And the only thing that you could be looking at is maybe this double bottom to see if that works. So yeah, sure, if it works, great. Just make sure that it starts to work and actually follows those moving averages on the lower time frames and does something. But if it doesn't, cut it. Right now, there's no guarantee. There's a potential trampoline move, but that doesn't mean it's actually working. It is not in an uptrend yet, so I would still be very cautious about this. All right, guys. Well, just remember we have FOMC, so we're going to have a bit of a monster truck rally fireworks show later this afternoon. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. As I said, I think the market's awfully high. All the internals are pretty much pegged to the high side, and the internals over the last couple of days and even the last week have not been stellar. So yeah, keep that in mind with your positions, and be prudent out there. And then we'll see you also tomorrow. And for those of you in the Moxie room, I'll see you in just a little bit for the Moxie and option room session. All right, thanks again, guys, and we'll see you soon.